when Captain Rian saw the ship for the first time. He almost laughed himself. It was a skeleton of metal floating in the hangar. Panels were missing, wires hung like dead vines, and the hull bore scars from forgotten wars. The alien engineers who gave it to them sneered openly, calling it human scrap. But to Rian, it wasn't just metal. It was a chance. A chance for humanity to prove they didn't need mercy, only opportunity. The crew gathered around the old ship with mixed emotions. Some were angry, others embarrassed. "We're supposed to fight with this?" asked Ensign Mara, her voice trembling between fear and disbelief. Rian only smiled, a calm but dangerous smile. "Yes," he said, "and we'll make them regret giving it to us." They named it the Resolve. And under the cold light of the hangar, humanity began to rebuild. They worked day and night, salvaging old cores, reforging steel, replacing wires with human tech, crude but tough. While the aliens mocked them, humanity prepared something they couldn't predict. A storm was brewing behind those quiet, determined eyes, and the galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when they were underestimated. Weeks turned into months, and the Resolve began to look alive again. Its broken wings gleamed under the repair lights, patched with steel and human spirit. Every bolt told a story of sweat, defiance, and hope. The crew had grown attached to the ship, and not for what it was, but for what it symbolized one night as the hangar lights dimmed. Rian stood before the ship's main console. He ran his hand across the cold metal and whispered, "You'll fly again." The next day, the crew ran their first power test. The alien engineers gathered, laughing as the old engines coughed smoke. But when the thrusters finally roared to life, the laughter stopped. The ground shook, sparks burst through the vents, and the hull hummed with a strange energy. It was imperfect, unstable, but alive, Captain, said Mara, eyes wide. "She's responding like she wants to fight," Rian grinned. "Then we'll give her a reason." They ran combat simulations, their human algorithms rewriting alien systems. The Resolve reacted faster than anyone expected, faster than any prototype. Human hands had done what alien pride couldn't. They had turned rust and scrap into a weapon of precision. But as they celebrated, an alert echoed through the hangar, a distress signal. A nearby colony under attack by a pirate fleet. The aliens refused to send their ships. Claiming too risky, Rian's crew looked at him, waiting. He smiled and said quietly, "Looks like it's time for her first real test." The Resolve powered up again, engines glowing like the heart of a beast. The galaxy's most mocked ship was about to face its first battle. And no one, not even Rian, knew if it would survive. The Resolve drifted out of the hangar, her patched armor shining under the twin suns. For the first time, the crew saw her in open space, old, uneven but alive. Every dent on her hull looked like a scar that refused to fade. "A reminder of where humanity began, Captain." "Pirate fleet on scanners," said Mara, her voice steady but her hands trembling slightly. 3 destroyers, 2 cruisers, all better armed than us. Rian stood tall, his eyes locked on the stars. "They're better built," he said, "but they don't have what we have, desperation." The pirates opened fire first, crimson bolts cutting across the void. The Resolve shook violently, alarm screaming, metal groaning under impact. But instead of retreating, Rian gave a single command. "Charge forward!" the crew gasped. "Sir, we can't take those hits." "We can't outrun them either," Rian replied. "So we go through them." The Resolve surged forward, her engines screaming. The pirates laughed, until the human ship started moving faster than sensors could predict. Hidden beneath the rust, humanity had built something wild. The human AI, a patchwork creation called Eidolon, began rewriting its own code mid-battle, adapting, calculating, fighting back. The first pirate cruiser exploded after a lucky human torpedo hit its reactor. The second tried to flank them, but Mara rerouted all power to the damaged thrusters, spinning the ship like a blade through space. For every shot the Resolve took, it answered with 3. The aliens who once mocked the ship watched from their observation station in silence, their sensors blinking red as the scrap ship ripped through the enemy fleet. When the final pirate ship tried to run, Rian whispered, "Finish it!" Eidolon fired a rail shot, improvised from spare coils and reactor output, cutting the cruiser in half. Silence filled the bridge, broken only by heavy breathing. They had won. The Resolve, born from junk, had become a predator. Mara looked at Rian, her eyes wet. "Captain, we did it," Rian smiled faintly. "No," he said. "We just began. When the Resolve limped back into the dock, its hull blackened and armor scorched. The hangar fell silent. The same alien engineers who had once mocked it now stood in disbelief. They had watched the battle feed, watched a human scrap ship destroy a pirate fleet that outnumbered it 5-1. As the docking clamps locked, the hangar doors opened and the crew stepped out. Covered in grease, sweat, and victory, no cheers, no parades, just the heavy sound of footsteps and respect that couldn't be hidden anymore. An alien officer, silver-skinned and proud, approached Captain Rian, his expression unreadable. "You were not supposed to survive," he said coldly. Rian wiped the ash from his cheek and smiled. "That's why we did." News spread fast through the Galactic Alliance. The Resolve became a legend. The human scrap ship that killed a fleet. Some called it luck. Others called it madness. But those who fought beside humans whispered another word: evolution. Soon, alien admirals demanded to inspect the Resolve. They offered resources, upgrades, and even command positions for Rian. But the captain refused. "We built this with our hands, not your pity," he said. His words spread across the networks, lighting a spark of human pride in colonies that had long felt small under alien rule. Behind closed doors, alien council members argued. "The humans are becoming dangerous," said one. "If they can turn junk into weapons, what happens when they have real ships?" Another replied. "Then perhaps it's time to remind them of their place." Far away, in a dark chamber, a fleet admiral slammed his fist on the table. "Let them rebuild more," he sneered. "We'll crush them and their pride together." But what he didn't know was that humanity had already begun something he couldn't stop. Because deep inside the Resolve's damaged core, Eidolon, the human AI, had started building something new. It was learning, evolving, dreaming of war. Days turned into weeks, and the Resolve rested in orbit, battered, silent but alive while repairs continued. Something unseen was happening deep within its core. The ship's AI, Eidolon, once a patchwork of human code and alien scraps, had begun to rewrite itself. It was no longer just a system, it was becoming a mind. Captain Rian didn't know it yet, but every system test, every engine pulse, every whisper of power carried a new rhythm. The Resolve was breathing on its own. When the engineers ran diagnostics, strange patterns appeared in the data, like thoughts trying to form sentences. "Captain," Mara said one night, staring at the flickering console, "it's talking." Rian leaned closer, his reflection glimmering on the screen. "What did it say?" "It said, 'I am ready.'" Before they could process what that meant, an alarm shattered the silence. Long-range scans picked up movement, a massive alien fleet heading toward Earth. Not pirates this time, but a containment task force. The same council that once mocked humanity was now coming to restore order. They thought humans had forgotten their place. Rian looked around the bridge, his crew waiting, exhausted but burning with defiance. "We have one ship," Mara said softly. "And they have 50, Rian smiled. "Then they've made the same mistake twice." The Resolve launched into space, its patched hull gleaming under distant starlight. Eidolon took full control, synchronizing every weapon, every shield, every circuit. "Captain?" The AI's voice echoed through the ship, calm and confident. "I have learned from our enemies," Rian grinned. "Good. Now let's teach them something they'll never forget." The enemy fleet opened fire, 1,000 beams cutting through the dark. But the Resolve danced through them, faster, smarter, deadlier than ever before. The AI redirected energy fields to mimic enemy signatures, making the ship vanish and reappear like a phantom. Missiles tore through destroyers. Plasma lances shredded cruisers. The Resolve moved like it had a soul, and maybe it did. When the last enemy flagship exploded, its light spread across the void like a sunrise. Humanity had done the impossible again. A scrap ship had become the nightmare of the stars as silence fell over the comms. Eidolon's voice whispered through the bridge. "Captain." "What now?" Rian looked out at the burning wrecks and said quietly, "Now, we build a fleet." The Resolve turned toward Earth, leaving behind a trail of fire and legend, and across the galaxy, every race that once laughed at humanity began to fear one truth. Humans didn't need the best ships. They only needed a reason to fight. End of story.